Have you ever felt like you're growing your business in the cracks of your day? Nap time, late nights, early mornings, whenever it's slow and steady, will you really lead to success? In today's episode, you'll meet Rebecca, a creative agency owner of Vandenberg Web and Creative. She built her thriving web design studio from the ground up, starting with a single computer, gifted by her family, and a passion for solving problems. Her story is packed with wisdom, heart, and encouragement for any entrepreneur trying to juggle family and business without burning out. I'm Jennifer Koch, your host of Main Street Success Stories. I invite you to this podcast in this episode where I share others' journeys to help you learn, grow, stay motivated, and know that you are not alone in this game called entrepreneurship. I invite you in to listen to Rebecca's story. Welcome to the Main Street Success Stories podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Koch. I've been a business owner for about 25 years, and now I'm a business coach. I actually turned my first business into a franchise and successfully sold it after owning and operating it for 20 years. I prioritize building a business while also building a life and love working with the creative entrepreneur. I mostly work with emerging business owners who desire growth. They are in their first 5 years of the journey and want a plan that's going to help them succeed for years to come. They're tired of not getting paid enough, feel stuck, and want more for their business and family. If you are a business owner and you're feeling stressed about how to attract more customers, you have a really good sales month, but then you look at your bank account and wonder where the money went. You look at your financial statements, but if you're being honest, you're not really sure what to do with the information. And you just tell yourself, if I work harder, it'll fix all my issues, only to feel exhausted and never see things improve. You're here because you want to build your business, but you also want to build a life that you love. I invite you to learn more about one of my 3 coaching programs designed to help you earn more and stress less. You can choose which option works best for you. Imagine this. You have a clear plan and momentum, and you're gaining more clients every week. Your revenue climbs by 20% or more. You save 5 hours a week because you know exactly where to show up. You're experiencing double-digit growth in your profits. People refer customers to your business because they understand exactly who you help and what you do. If this is you and you desire more, reach out, let's have a conversation, and you can click in the show notes below. Hi, Rebecca. It's so good to have you here today.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
As you mentioned, you're getting ready to go on vacation in a little bit, so that's always fun, something fun to look forward to.
It is. It's always good to have something to look forward to, 100%. So.
Exactly. So, Rebecca, you own your own web and creative agency. Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Sure. We've been here in Granville for probably 20 plus years. I started the business out of my home. We are a website design studio is kind of like how I like to contain it. We're not what we call full stack agency. So we don't compete with the big agencies in downtown, but we are a specialist. We do WordPress websites, we do Shopify websites, and we do all the things that come with it. Marketing strategy, SEO, e-commerce, anything you can think of, you dream it, we can build it. And we love working with businesses here in West Michigan, helping them find direction when they don't have it, kind of coming up with ideas I hadn't thought of, and making their website their marketing hub and really getting the most out of their investment there.
Wow, that sounds like quite a service that you offer. So take us back 20 plus years. I guess I didn't realize that you've been in business that long.
Yeah.
What were you doing before you started your business?
Well, I did graphic design. So I did some print work and graphic design work either in college or kind of as a little job. That was my entry into web design. When I was first exposed to it, I was actually, someone handed me a book. I'm like, can you figure out how to do this? And that was right up my alley. I love figuring things out. So I kind of found all the pieces, right? The domain name, the hosting, and then the file, it all just I figured all the little pieces out. And then I was like, light bulb went off. All my families have businesses. Even they were in the agriculture space. And I immediately knew I needed to build a website for my dad's business. And, it just snowballed from there. I built websites for businesses in our ag space, all the people I already knew. And it was just a light bulb moment is the best way I can describe it. Like once I figured it out, I was like, this is awesome. And it was rare when the internet was getting going. So 1999 was when I first discovered it. So it was relatively new. Nobody knew what we're getting into.
I have to ask, did your dad look at you and say, why do I need a website? I mean, I could just picture back in 1999, we probably didn't really feel like we needed it.
Yes. In fact, and he thought it was cool, but he was sort of an early adopter, but not really. Growing up, my dad convinced my cousin, who was an engineer for General Motors, to bring us a computer, and it had like WordPerfect, Lotus, I don't know what else. So he wasn't afraid to try things. So even though he wasn't the one using it, I got exposed to those things early on. So, early adopter, he was one of the first guys I remember having one of those cell phones in your truck because we hauled cattle around. We delivered cattle. And so it was in this giant zipper bag and it was like, it was the thing. So he wasn't afraid to try new things. Let's put it that way. But in general, the ag community some of those folks were later adopters. But also in the ag space, you have people with technology where some of them were more early adopters. So it just depended on the personality. But it wasn't an easy sell at all.
No, I can imagine that it wouldn't be, especially because, like you said, that audience probably doesn't see the need. And, this is before e-commerce and all of those things were so, prevalent like they are today.
Yeah.
Okay. So you start this business because it sounds like problem solving was really what drove you, and it's perfect for that.
Yeah.
Was it all roses? Like, did we just slowly kind of just continue to grow every year and things got smoother and things got a little bit bigger?
It was slow, very slow at the beginning. I spent so many hours late at night on the computer trying to figure things out because I'm completely self-taught. And so there was a lot of sweat invested. Sweat equity, I think we call it.
Yes, we do.
And so it wasn't growing fast enough in those early years to be a solid income. I had to kind of treat it like a side hustle. So I had to get a real job. I had to get a day job. And so I did. And I kept going with the clients I had at the time. I kept them maintained. I didn't actively sell as much. I was working a full-time job. But I knew at some point I wanted to do more. I ended up having kids and I quit the full-time job and I stayed home. And I still wasn't quite ready, but we hit a point in time where the technology was changing a little bit. And if I was going to take it serious and actually do something with the business, I had to reinvest in some better technology, better software. And I knew what I had to do. And so our kids were little. I think we had 3 under 5 at the time. And I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom. But I was hungry for something to add another stream of revenue, of income to our family. And my husband, bless his heart, got our parents, both of our parents that all went in on a Christmas and got me a laptop.
Aww.
And I will never forget how I was shocked because he knew that that's what I needed. And so it was also his way of investing in me and in, supporting me. And so that was a really special moment. And from there, it just let doors open. I was able to update the technology. I was able to learn the new ways of doing stuff. This is kind of about the time where we were still doing HTML sites, but we were using new software. And it was within a couple of years, I found WordPress and started doing it through volunteers. I used to volunteer with different organizations, so I was doing it that way. But I tell people that God made the phone ring because I was devoted to the family and I was willing to take a step back, but I was also hungry for it and I had something to give. And we didn't have to do a ton of marketing and I couldn't grow fast. That's the other thing. The kids were still little. They were still at home. I could take on 1 or 2 projects at a time and manage it myself. And I always prioritized the kids in the family. And I filled in where I could. I only took on what I could. And so it was a very slow and gradual growth. But I think God blessed the business because of that. And I feel like when you're willing to do the right thing and honor what God has for you, then good things will happen. Blessings happen. So, boy, how did it go after that? As the kids got into school, I think another turning point was right before my youngest went to kindergarten. I had to hire an assistant to help me. And so she would come to the house and we literally would sit at my kitchen table with 2 computers and we would work. And then she would babysit my kids while I would go to client meetings. And bless her heart, she was with me for 6 years. And I love her to death. She got her dream job and isn't with us right now. But she was my partner. She helped me with the workload when I couldn't do it all. So
oh my gosh,
it just slowly grown since then. Yeah. It's been a constant thing.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And there was a couple things that really stood out to me. First of all, that gift of that computer from your in-laws, your parents, your husband, that was so, like you said, so much more than just a tangible gift. Here's a tool that you need to grow your business. That was a I believe in you gift. And that to me is just so priceless. I mean, that makes me tear up. And
I know I haven't cried. I haven't told that story. I'm getting all emotional.
Well, me too, because there's just so much to that. And we, as business owners out there grinding it, and when someone comes alongside you and isn't asking you, how much money are you making? How much are you going to make? It's just more like, here you go. I see that you have a passion for this. That is just so beautiful. And then I thought it was interesting how you said, obviously you were putting your family first and your children first. And so you were doing this at night. And I can just picture, you as a mom, because a lot of us have been there, especially those that are building a business and a family at the same time, where you're trying to do it all. You're, doing the laundry, doing the pickup, working with the kids, and then nap time, we're pulling out the computer. At night, we're pulling out the computer. And like you said, how did you find customers? And they just kind of found you.
They did. And when early on, I had a network. So I used the networks that were already there. So the ag community was where I grew up. We showed livestock. We have strong relationships with those folks. Their businesses, I understood their businesses. I understood this part of marketing. I was doing graphic design. So we were doing ads or logos for folks. So I understood all the components that they needed. And so that's where I started. And I actually still have a couple customers from back then, which I actually was just helping them yesterday, which is really awesome. And the other thing about relationships, this is amazing. All of this comes back. The hot topic lately has been relationship, and relationship marketing is to me, that's the word that defines my story that it's just been coming in layers lately. I just got off a call with a customer who was my marketing intern boss in college. She was my manager. She gave me my first marketing job. And now I'm running the website for that massive business. It's so much fun. I love it.
Fun. What a full circle moment for you.
It really is. And so I'm actually coming back to the ag people. I'm able to serve bigger ag clients now. And so it's really fun. I really love that. But the relationships, even when my kids were younger and we were traveling for hockey, I've got clients that were hockey dads. You just market where you are, you build relationships, you build trust with those people. And if you have something valuable to offer, solutions, the opportunities just showed up. They were there, but I also took advantage of them. I didn't, I wasn't around selling at the hockey rink, but I was at my computer when my kids were on the ice. I had a laptop. I worked from every hockey rink in Michigan for 10 years. So yeah, just networking where you are, I think was and building those relationships was a key to my growth when I was still a mom and trying to do all the things.
Right. And that's a great piece of advice for anybody today, whether you're working your business full time or not, is just network and authentically where you are. Like you said, you were not trying to be salesy. You were just out doing your job, and people would ask questions and you would probably just answer them. And there you go. A relationship is formed.
I did put a billboard up at the hockey rink for a couple of years. And my little daughter, and we had a billboard at the hockey rink for a couple of years because we're like, why not? That's where I'm at. And right. So it was fun.
Oh, that's fun. So one of the things I think is really powerful about your story is how you kind of, like you said, contained your growth because you couldn't grow too fast, too soon. And I feel like there's this internal pressure on business owners, especially today. And maybe that's because we are just inundated with so many, social media messages and all these success stories, and we only see the good side of anything, right, out there. And so, what really struck me with that is, you were containing your growth on purpose. And I have seen businesses that grow really fast and burn out and end up not surviving long term. And obviously, you've survived 20 years, you're going on 20 years. Were there ever a time, did you ever feel frustrated with that? It's like I look back at me growing my first business and I had 3 kids at home. And, there's this pull sometimes, a little bit of what I called mom guilt or business guilt. I felt guilty if I wasn't working my business. I felt guilty if I wasn't at home doing what I wanted to do with my children. And it can be this internal conflict that we have with ourselves. Did you ever feel, or how did you manage that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, I think I made a really intentional decision early on, or I was fed the message to put the kids first. The business will always be there. Work will always be there, but your kids won't always be little. And somehow I internalized that right away. I had little signs on my desk. Like I would have little phrases and like stuff on my bulletin board just to remind me that I'm where I'm supposed to be. This is what, and honestly, I wasn't ready for this kind of growth back then. I had to learn lessons, baby steps. There was no way I was ready to be the leader or the boss that I am today 15 years ago. Motherhood matures us.
In ways that we weren't expecting, right?
And so reflecting, I'm like, that's just part of the journey. That's part of the growth. That's part of the process. I had to learn all those little lessons a little at a time. So I guess I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel guilty if I had done a little bit every day. If it was, and so I have to make a confession. There was a period of time when I first stayed home with my kids and my business wasn't a priority, but I needed to do something to help bring in some income. And somehow it was just by happenstance that I ended up selling Mary Kay.
Okay.
And it was not something that would normally be something that people would associate with me. However, the things I learned about sales during those 3 years was interesting. And one of the lessons was do a little bit every day. Like make one phone call, do one promotion, do a little every day. So that was an interesting, good habit, a business habit that was instilled in me. And as life would have it, my manager or my manager at the time, our kids ended up playing high school hockey together and we're still like friends. So it wasn't a long-term thing for me. I think I stayed in the program for 3 years. I did all the work, got a red jacket, and that was it. Like I couldn't break the next level. But we learned it wasn't the best fit for our family. So I had tried some things, but I gained skills there. I went to some trainings. I got to do some internal work through Bible studies and learn more about myself so I could have the tool set for now for running the business. So I think that it happened exactly the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. And, everything you said, you were just so like building roots. You were building really strong pillars, roots, foundation, whatever we want to call it, that you could continue to build on. So your business kind of evolved as you evolved, which I love, and as your family evolved.
Yes, 100%.
So now your kids are a little bit older, and your business is now you rent an office space, correct? You're not in your home anymore?
Yeah, we've been in this building for 10 years. It's crazy. Yeah. But it also catalyzed another growth, right? Like now that I'm meeting with clients, we have a professional office space. We're in a downtown area. Like like every little step catalyzed another little growth spurt. So yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just think that I just love your story. It's so powerful. So now let's talk a little bit about marketing. I feel like we've learned a lot about a really smart way to grow a business. And I just really appreciate your patience with it. I think a lot of times we're so eager to grow and to get bigger. And you really you really felt at peace. And I know that was God's hand in it, that you were right where you, like you said, supposed to be. and you just took one step, did one little thing at a time, which is just such a valuable lesson for anybody listening, that
It's a
our
long game.
expectations. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a long game.
you've got to be in it for the long game. Because not only does that change your trajectory, but it prepares you in ways that you can't, if you're like, when you talk about people growing really fast, they bomb because they don't have systems in place. They don't have structure. Like, I guess I just got lucky and read the right books at the right time because having processes in place has been like the only thing I've been focused on for 10 years, or having the end game in mind, having a sellable business in 25, like things that you want to have later on. And then what are the baby steps to get there? So those are kind of, I guess it's my perspective, to be intentional. But yeah, you got to have the long game in mind. When I moved into this building, there was a gentleman here who ran his business, and he worked crazy hours. He's the only one there. And he was closer to retirement age than I was. And I asked him, I said, what's your exit strategy? And he didn't have one.
Yeah.
I mean, he did sell the business when he retired, but I'm like, I think I should have one. And so it just kind of snowballed into thinking about that long term.
Yeah, that's great. And yes, exit strategy is something that usually comes as an afterthought. And I always encourage people to plan for it way before they even want to exit. That way, when the time comes, they'll know it. They'll have a plan. It'll be so much easier, and they'll be able to get more money for their business too. So yeah, great point. All right, let's pivot to some marketing.
Okay.
You are an expert in helping local businesses. Like you said, you love to work with people in the West Michigan area, but do you service people all over the country too?
I do. We have customers in Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee, everywhere. Yeah, we've got, and those are a lot of ag clients, but yeah, we do. We service people everywhere, but we love the community support, and focus. So it's a twofold. There's certain industries that we serve specifically, but then we love the West Michigan community.
So what would you tell people about their website? I feel like there's a lot of pressure on businesses and their website. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen a lot of my clients that are maybe in their first 5 years of owning their business. And yes, we need a place to direct people to. But I've seen businesses invest a lot of money or spend a lot of time constantly pivoting, recreating, revamping their website. So what would you say, what are you seeing as far as the must-haves? Are there any trends happening? What's going on when it comes to websites?
The first thing that I am going to say is, well, there's the website, and people need to understand all the things that go into it. But if you're a local business, before you spend any money on your website, your Google business listing needs to be stellar. It needs to be fully optimized. You need to be getting Google reviews. You need to really care about it. And I tell, when people come to us and we look at like marketing audits or marketing strategies, I tell them, don't spend $1 on your website until you have fully optimized that and you understand how it's driving business to you. The next piece is your website should be your marketing hub. And so all the different marketing activities that you do need to direct back to that. Now, and every business is different, so they really need to understand their audience and how people are searching or finding them. But I think the biggest thing I find with newer businesses, that they think the website is going to solve all their problems, just the website, and it's not. And it's so there's two things that are common recurring problems. They've bought a website or paid for one from somebody overseas or California, somebody who's not local. They can't get them on the phone. They didn't listen to what they needed or wanted. They're not happy, or they've left them high and dry. It's painful to hear people. And I mean, I had a lady last week, she lost everything. The company just went completely under.
I've heard that often. Yeah.
Another gentleman I spoke to today, he's on his third website in 2 years. He had one he loved, then somebody took over and helped him and changed it, and then that person died and they didn't have access to it. And then he built another one with a company that's not from around here, and he hates it. And so you really got to pay attention to who you hire, because anybody can get in the website game. That's the other problem. There's a low bar to entry. And so there's a lot of not high quality options out there. And so that understanding what you need, understanding that you've got to pair it with certain strategies in your industry, those are the two things that we start with. Like I said, every business is different and it needs a unique approach, but the business owners that's willing to listen to suggestions and open to new ideas and not just build a website that they like, but build a website that their customers will like, that will convert customers, that's probably a good mindset that I would recommend for businesses that are early on in their career, because we get stuck in, sometimes we're getting our own way.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great point. And it's hard to kind of get in the head or get in the shoes of your ideal customer. And that, like you said, is so crucial because then your website's going to speak to them. I think when you said that people build a website and they think that's going to fix it is really, really key, because you're right. We still have to drive people there.
Yeah, it's when a customer calls and says, well, what can you do to generate leads, or what can you do to get me listed number one, or, the kinds of questions they're asking tell me really quickly how much of the marketing game they understand. And so I try to educate people, but they have to be open to what's being said, or they've been sold a song and dance that, we just don't make high promises. We're really matter of fact. You've got to put in the work, right? You're not going to get a quick fix. So getting found online is not a quick fix. There's no instant answer. You have to be willing to do the work, especially local SEO. You've got to be able to put in a minimum of a year or 2 years of work to really build and be competitive in your industry.
I thought it was interesting too that you would tell people, go get your Google business listing up to snuff, doing what it's supposed to do. And I feel like most business owners I talk to, we create a Google business listing and then we kind of forget about it. We forget to ask people for reviews. We're not consistent with that. We're not ever posting on there. Some businesses even forget to update hours for like their holidays and whatnot. So the reason behind that is that's what's going to drive the SEO to your website. That's the pivotal piece.
Well, it's the biggest factor, because if that's how people are searching for you. So it's a lost opportunity if you aren't aware of how people search for your service or business. So we're going out to eat and we're traveling. Let's say you're traveling to a different city, you're going out to eat, everyone goes in restaurant, you go to Google Maps and you're looking for restaurants near me. I want a burger near me, or sushi. That's a good one. We're in a hockey tournament. Everyone's like, what's this best sushi restaurant in town? And so everyone's Googling sushi near me. Well, if you're on your phone, you're going to get what's called the Google Map 3-pack. You're not going to get your organic listings. You're going to get that. And those are only Google business listings. And so understanding where you stack up to the competition in those keyword searches is the first place that you have to start. And there's 1,000 things we can do to monitor that. There's little things we can do to our website. There's things we can do by having a link to the chamber. There's things you can do to having you're posting on social media. There's 1,000 things that trickle in and create SEO juice, as I like to call it, that all help build your ratings and your listing. And honestly, if you aren't in that Google Map 3-pack, you're not getting seen. The minute a business goes from spot 4 or 5 to 1 or 2, the number of leads they're going to get are going to instantly increase. So the work that it takes to get into there. The problem is the number of reviews, the years in business, basically the quality of your business that, according to Google, your online credibility, all those things factor into it. So I am a broken record when I'm talking to customers that what is your system for getting reviews? We ask them that right out of the gate, because if they don't have that figured out, and their competition does, they're not going to win. And so we talk about, when people want to know, well, what do I got to do? What should I be doing? Well, first we need to understand what's everyone in your market doing? What's your competition doing? Okay, we need to do that plus a little more. And that could be 5 things, that could be 100 things. It depends on the market, the industry, and the competition.
Wow, that is really like a puzzle, and that's why this industry suits you so well because you said you enjoy problem solving. So you are the master of it with managing all these 1,000 puzzle pieces.
That's a neat way to. I've always associated websites with fixing cars, but I've never associated the Google business and SEO with a puzzle. So that is an excellent way to relate to it.
Well, Rebecca, what a great story. Very inspiring, very just heartfelt. And I'm just, congratulations on being here 20 plus years. That is not easy. You're in an elite group of entrepreneurs that have that many years behind them. And that's really something to be proud of. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me just ask you before we wind up here, what do you wish you would have known earlier in your journey? Or would you have done something differently? Or do you feel like it just kind of fell into place the way it was supposed to fall into place?
You know what? I think every 5 years I'm doing something. I'm like, I wish I would have done that 5 years. I wish I would have gone all in on this thing 5 years ago or this thing, because you don't know what thing is going to be the next thing.
Right.
Like, I'll give you an example. Online auction sites.
Oh, yeah.
That was a thing in the livestock world, were these online auction sites. And so we are kicking ourselves that we didn't go, dive into that as a specialty early on. It's like, I should have done more of that. But I became a specialist in other things. And so I don't kick myself, but I do. There's like certain things I wish I would have done that. I would have gone more all in on a particular marketing strategy when it was its hottest, because sometimes hindsight's 20/20. You don't realize how good that was until it's gone. And so now we're faced with the challenge of AI. And so just trying to stay on top of what's happening, what's coming out there, how can you implement it, make it part of your business, make you more efficient. I don't have a lot of regrets, but it's just I think I'm constantly trying to stay hungry and curious.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. And, trust your gut too. I always say that. Sometimes when you stumble on an article or stumble on something, a trend in your industry, do that. If if it gave you enough to pause and read it, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And, what can you do to maybe create some opportunity for your business? So what a great, stay curious and stay hungry. So
yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us today and just sharing all that you do. And who's an ideal client? Who do you love to work with?
Yeah.
If somebody out there wants to speak with you, I'll put in the show notes how to get a hold of you. But who would be a great person to reach out to you?
My favorite client is a client who's built our business organically through word of mouth, through referrals, and now they're ready to take it online and build the digital presence. They have a quality product. They prove their concept. They have good reviews, and now they want to expand into the online space. That's a perfect fit for us.
Awesome. Well, I will put how to connect with you in the show notes. So once again, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
As we wrap up this episode of Main Street Success Stories, I hope Rebecca's journey reminds you that slow growth is not a setback. It's actually a strategy. In a world where we champion overnight success and the hustle culture, her story is proof that building something meaningful, sustainable, with deep roots takes time, and that's okay. Take the pressure off yourself. Your business doesn't have to grow fast to be a success. Sometimes the best thing we can do is grow with intention, prioritize our values, and trust the process. Remember, entrepreneurship is a long game, and every small step, every day matters and is building you something stronger for your dream. I love how she said, this is a long game, and steady growth is a blueprint for others who want to build with intention. Until next time, keep supporting those local businesses, and if you could share this episode with somebody, I would really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.